our visibility in the southern end of the valley, specifically south of Fargo-Moorhead, though we have been seeing some very light snow trying to come down in the FM area as well. And the result of that leading to those school closures and delays in the southern valley that you see at the bottom of your screen. So here's a look at the DOT map. You can see in purple here that we are dealing with some areas where we have snow on the roads. Purple indicates snow on the roadways, and that includes that basically I-94 and points south. A couple of places that we've updated here from, or the DOT has updated, are into Cass County. There's some purple showing up on the map in Cass along Highway 18 there, I-94. Highway 46 has been included for a while, and some patchy areas of snow south of Fargo-Moorhead. And then, of course, widespread areas here in the southern end of the valley as well. So those are the areas you're going to want to make sure you're taking those extra precautions if you're getting ready to head out the door this morning. So over on the Minnesota side, we're also looking at some snowier conditions in the south too. Now their categorization's a little bit different. We have some more, the pink or purple areas indicate completely covered roads. That could be slush or snow, partially covered in blue. Again, this is south of Detroit Lakes and Moorhead, and along that line and points south from there. Fergus Falls has been dealing with some snow for some time. So I want to show you a live view of our First Alert Skycam network in the Southern Valley. This is the Dakota Magic Casino here this morning. You can see visibility is limited. I'm going to move our camera down just a little bit because I want to show you there's a car in the parking lot there. It's hiding behind our banner and our crawl and all of the things here. And this vehicle covered in some snow right now. So that's an area, that's something to be concerned about if you're going to be traveling today or heading into work. Not only are you going to have to watch out where you're going, but if you park outside, you're going to have to brush off that car. One other thing to point out, the flags are not moving much. The wind is light. It's a nice lightly falling snow, kind of pretty as we've been saying if you don't have to drive out in it, but the wind will pick up today. So we have those heavy bands, Southern Valley, I-94, places south from there where we're dealing with the snow right now. This is trying to push northward, but it's a struggle. So you could see Northern Valley not really impacted except for our viewers over toward Bemidji. And that will take some time today for it to build north. Lots of places reporting lower visibility where that snow is falling. And your winds, light as I mentioned, we're looking at temperatures that are below freezing right now. I'm going to quickly step you through the hour-by-hour planner. This is going to be an issue for us in the Southern Valley throughout the morning. Heading into the afternoon and evening, you can see the snow builds northward toward Highway 2, but it doesn't go much farther than that. So again, we're going to see the heaviest totals in the south where the snow lasts longer. The wind picks up at this point too, continuing into this evening. Late tonight is when the snow starts to taper off, though we'll see some lingering impacts of it into Friday morning. We'll take a look at your totals coming up right after this. So today we are looking at the heaviest snow in the south. Now this potential is in addition to what we've already seen. Ellendale's already seen 4 inches of snow as of 5 a.m. So this is on top of that. So we're looking at still an additional 6 inches of snow. Lesser amounts the farther north you go. Fargo's kind of in that 2 to 4 inch range. It's going to be tough to nail down a little farther north from there. We're looking at that cutoff being, or drop off from snowfall, really being steep. So just keep that in mind as you're making your plans today. Heading into the weekend, another round of some light snow Saturday and into Sunday. And then as we head into next week, still cold, but we see signs of warming as we head toward the end of next week.
Sounds great. Thank you, Lisa. Let's give away a free cup of coffee and breakfast burrito at Taco John's.
Congratulations this morning to Cassie Berg of Goodridge, Minnesota. You can register to win this contest sponsored by Taco John's too. Just go to valleynewslive.com and click on the contest tab. And now let's see how people are responding to our question of the morning on Facebook. That question, 15% of women don't like being called this by their husband.
Well, here's some of your guesses this morning. Josh said honey. Hannah guessed baby. Ryan said their better half. And Kevin said the old lady. Remember, you can play along every weekday morning by heading to our Valley News Live Facebook page. The real answer to today's question is coming up for you just before 7.
Also coming up, a North Dakota woman is accused of starving a 9-month-old boy.
Plus, brace yourself for a winter blast. The region prepares for a second hit of snow. Our team coverage on this First Alert Weather Day is straight ahead. If you're just waking up, it is snowing outside. At least a lot of snow in the Southern Valley. For others, they're just starting to see it this morning.
They sure are. In the Valley today's Brian Sherrod. He has been outside in the elements tracking the snow all morning. He joins us live with some coverage. Brian, where are you? And we see that you got some snow behind you there.
Well, good morning, Jordan and Lisa. I'm in Breckenridge, and you're right, I do have snow behind me, and I'll even show you how much. So if you look down, instead of me kicking it like I was, you can actually pick the snow up. So it's a good bit of snow you can actually pick up. It's kind of nice and rough, and I don't think I made a snowball right, but you know, enough to where it's kind of, I think it's a potential snowball. Let's go with that. I'm gonna get rid of that because that was a failed snowball attempt. But if you look on the roadways, you can also see that it is completely covered. We have not seen any snow plows so far, so all the snow is snows you've been seeing collected all morning. I did reach out to Richland County and Wilkin County, and I can tell you the good news. They said it's been quiet all morning. They've had no crashes or no signs of any kind of immediate dangers, according to them. So that is some good news to report back to you in the studio. As you can also see, there are cars going by, more than we saw earlier this morning. They're driving slowly, they're having their lights on, they're taking their time like we always recommend, so they're being good. We did see one car that did not have lights on at all. I would not recommend driving in the snow without lights, because how do you see in front of you without lights on? So I do want to tell you that the snow is still coming down. It's still covering, it's probably covering my head right now as well. I didn't bring a hat. That is my fault for doing that. I will know that for next time. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss it back to you in the studio, but like I said, the snow's still coming down pretty good in Breckenridge.
Yeah, and pretty heavy. I know we first checked in with you in the 5 o'clock hour and not a lot of snow, and it's really picked up. So nowhere near being over just yet. So.
Yeah, the road was a lot more clear at that time. And now I suspect as more people start to head out the door to go to school and work, we're going to start hearing about maybe more people sliding off the road as well. So be careful. But tracking that snow, thank you, Brian, tracking that snow all overnight and now into the morning on this First Alert Weather Day, meteorologist Lisa Green. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Yes, we've been watching that snow build into that southern valley, and it's now been impacting Fargo-Moorhead. We're looking at very light stuff right now, but it has coated the road. What initially did the overpass of I-94 over University on our First Alert Skycam network view here in South Fargo. You can see traffic's picked up, so that's helped to melt the snow, but the road surface is still wet. There's also snow falling on the dome of our camera, so our view is a little bit obscured too, as it's kind of melting a little bit as well. So bottom line is conditions are getting a little worse in Fargo-Moorhead. Not terrible right now, at least from my view, but they could change here pretty quickly this morning. So something to keep in mind. Looking at travel around the Southern Valley specifically today. Again, we want to use caution this morning. It's going to get tougher through the day as that snow continues to build up on the roadways. Lesser traffic issues as you head farther north. Now, down toward where Brian is, if you head west on Highway 13, this is the Morton area. You could see that snow really coming down on the DOT cam there, and I've been keeping an eye on our cameras in the southern end of the valley. According to both Minnesota and North Dakota DOT, many of those locations have roads that are snow covered or partially covered in both the southern valley, both states, and of course down into South Dakota as well. Some lines of heavy snow. You can see those bands in darker blue with some flecks of white down by Sisseton and stretching back up toward Otter Tail County and then back over by Ellendale. That's where the heavy snowfall rates are right now. The snow extent is still in that southern end of the valley, the I-94 Highway 10 corridor. It's trying to advance northward, but struggling a little bit. So Central Valley, Northern Valley, again, you're going to have lesser amounts of snow. If you're up by the Canadian border, you're going to have a much different day. You might not see any snow at all or just a couple of flurries. Now, there are places reporting low visibility in the North Valley, but in the Southern Valley, it's much lower. We're down to a mile or less in a lot of places. Fargo now at the airport, this is a new update, 1.5 mile visibility. So that snow coming down now in Fargo-Moorhead. At least the wind is light. It does pick up later today, though, so we'll have to contend with that, too. Your commutes this morning impacted, definitely this morning in the south, but more of us will be impacted this afternoon and evening, and the snow will have built up by then, so it'll get a little tougher for us as well. So easy does it. That 6+ inch range still looks likely for the Southern Valley. That'd be more south of Fargo-Moorhead. Fargo in that 2 to 4 inch range, maybe an inch in Grand Forks if that snow advances far enough north.
And make sure to download that VNL weather apps. That way you can stay informed throughout the day. Lisa Green, thank you very much. A federal grand jury has indicted a North Dakota woman in connection with the starvation death of a 9-month-old baby. Police were called to a home on the Fort Berthold Reservation in June about an unresponsive infant and found the baby's body.
Doctors determined the child died from chronic starvation. Paige Howling Wolf is accused of involuntary manslaughter, child neglect, and child abuse.
New this morning, the U.S. government says Iranian intelligence was responsible for a recent campaign of emails sent to intimidate Florida voters. The FBI made the announcement last night, adding that Russia was also working to influence the election.
The emails instructed Democratic voters in Florida to switch to the Republican Party and purported to come from the Proud Boys, the right-wing group of Donald Trump supporters that became a flashpoint during the first presidential debate. But the emails were actually spoofed and designed to incite social unrest and damage President Trump, according to the Director of National Intelligence. President Donald Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden will face off for the final time in a debate tonight. The two candidates will share the stage 3 weeks after their first debate, which was headlined by the president's near constant interrupting of both his opponent and the moderator.
On Monday, the Debate Commission announced they will be muting the microphones to start each of tonight's debate segments. Now, under the new rules, Biden and Trump will each have 2 minutes of uninterrupted time at the beginning of each 15-minute segment. Afterward, they can discuss issues with each other with both microphones open. You can watch it right here, KVLY, KXJB, as well as streaming on our news app. It's now under 2 weeks until Election Day, and the number of early voters is exploding across the country. Minnesota is setting a record for the most mail-in votes ever.
1.6 million ballots were requested, and 911,000 have been returned already. More than 40 million people nationally have already voted by mail or in person. That's more than double the number from 2016.
West Fargo says no to a mask mandate, but is pushing a new mask strategy. It went into effect yesterday.
They're encouraging you to wear a mask indoors and outside if you can't socially distance. This includes bars, restaurants, and businesses in town, but it comes with no penalties.
I believe every state should be mask mandated right now until we can at least get this under control, because it's airborne, so we don't really know what's going to go on. Somebody could sneeze and we can catch it. You can walk by and it's still airborne, so it's not going to go away.
It's really annoying to have a mask every time you go into a store and you're not even able to order anything or get anything, which I just went to Atomic Coffee and I got kicked out of there, so yeah.
The mask strategy will be in place at least until North Dakota sees the risk level go down. More people will now be considered close contacts, according to the CDC.
The announcement shortens the amount of time you have to have spent with someone to be considered a close contact. Instead of having to spend a solid 15 minutes with someone to qualify, if you saw the person for a total of 15 minutes over a 24-hour period, you're now a close contact. Pope Francis is endorsing same-sex civil unions for the first time as he was being interviewed for the feature film Francesco. The film covers issues Pope Francis cares most about, like the environment, migration, poverty, racial and income inequality, and people most affected by discrimination.
During one of his sit-down interviews for the documentary, the Pope said, quote, "Homosexual people have the right to a family. What we have to have is a civil union law. That way they're legally covered," end quote. North Dakota regulators say an equipment failure at a well near Watford City led to the release of more than 12,000 gallons of oil. The state's oil and gas division says it was notified of the spill on Sunday at the Newfield Production Company well located about 5 miles west of Watford City.
Regulators say none of the oil escaped the oil well site. The company reported that it has recovered all but 420 gallons of the oil. A state inspector is at the site monitoring cleanup. 3 North Dakota high school students are being recognized for helping deputies chase down a wanted suspect. And they did it in their cowboy boots. On the night of September 24th, the Morton County Sheriff's Office responded to a disturbance call in Hebron.
Now, the suspect took off running, but 3 teenagers from Glen Ullin who had been watching the deputy struggle with the man, they followed the guy. And by the time the deputy ran back to his car and turned onto Main Street, the teens had the man on the ground and they were making a citizen's arrest. An Italian dog owner got a big surprise when a new litter of puppies were born, and one, he looked a little different. You see it there? They have green fur. It supposedly happens when pale-colored puppies have contact in the womb with a green pigment.
It's the same pigment that causes the green color in bruises. This dog was bright green, but it has faded quite a bit, and of course, they named him Pistachio. Let's get our answer now to our question of the morning on Facebook. Today's question, 15% of women say they don't like being called this by their husband.
The answer is a trophy wife.
What? I would love to be called a trophy wife.
Better than a lot of other guesses that we got this morning, but you can play along every day. Today's show and CBS This Morning are just about to start, but the Valley today, it rolls on. We have more team coverage of the winter weather that's bearing down on the region, and that's right after this on the Fargo CW.